Good morning to all of you. I have great pleasure to welcome and to introduce Professor T. Tamish Chelvam, who is my very good friend, and he is well-known researcher in discrete mathematics, and currently he is working as a CSIR Emeritus Scientist at Department of Mathematics, Manon Manian, Sundarnar University. He was also a senior professor, now retired, at Department of Mathematics, Manon Manian, Sundarnar University, Tirunelveli, Tamil Nadu. He did his post-graduation and doctorate degree from Annamalai University. He is a very strong source of energy. In fact, his academic record is excellent. He published 7 books and more than 143 research articles. He received many research, he reviewed many research papers for many reputed journals. He guided 50 PhD students and 50 MPhil students. He completed more than 9 research projects funded by various institutes in India. He got many prestigious awards also, like Tamil Nadu Senior Scientist Award 2016, and as well as 2011 for mathematics, awarded by the Tamil Nadu State Council Science and Technology. Lifetime Achievement Award 2012 by Nehru Group of Institutions, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. Then Academic Excellence Award by the Manon Manian Sundarnar University for the academic year 2009 and 10. In fact, as far as his administrative work is concerned, he handled all the positions of any university, in the sense that he was a director in charge, registrar in charge, dean, head, senate member, etc. of the Manon Manian Sundarnar University, and he also worked in other places. Very active and energetic personality. He visited many countries to deliver talks and presenting papers in various conferences. Also organized more than 19 national and international conferences and many more summer schools, orientation courses, and other programs. Very active, energetic personality. I welcome Professor T. Tamish Chelvam and request him to start his lecture. Professor Tamish Chelvam.
Good morning to one and all. Professor Ofare,
Professor
Joshi, and the faculty members of Department of Mathematics, Pune University, participants of this refresher course in mathematical sciences. I am very much thankful to Professor Ofare for the nice words. Thank you, sir. And I am always very happy to be in the refresher course programs. The teachers need to be interacted for communicating mathematics to the young students. Of course, this is my 42nd refresher course in mathematics. So, in the sense, I am very happy to be on one more platform wherein we interact with teachers from mathematics. I would like to introduce one important interdisciplinary concept between algebra and graph theory, namely Cayley graphs. Let me share my screen. I think it is visible. Is it visible?
Visible. Yes, sir. Visible.
Okay, okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is the first lecture, Cayley graphs from groups. Of course, we are all always interested in definitions. And of course, our fundamental tool in mathematics is definition. Can anyone define mathematics? Define mathematics. Mathematics is a language.
Hello, sir.
Can you define mathematics?
Yes, sir. It's
Yeah.
same answer I was going to give. It's a logical language.
A logical language. Okay, in the sense of common man, the word of logic may not be known. So,
Yes, sir.
how to modify that mathematics is this?
We
In
may
fact,
another one
yeah,
word logic plus axioms. We derive certain things, we prove certain things.
you are all correct. Once again, you are standing on the platform of mathematics and try to define mathematics. I stand outside the platform as a history student or as a student of biology or a sociology, anthropology, for whom we have to tell this is what mathematics. Can anyone try? Well, please, sir.
Study of structures. Study of patterns
Hmm.
and to recognize the properties of patterns.
So it is the somewhat a concepts related to my patterns, you mean to say. Anybody else? Okay. Mathematics
Sir,
is
may I
this.
try?
Yeah, please. You are welcome. In fact,
yes.
mostly I will be interactive. You are free to talk.
Mathematics is a way of thinking. It is a theory for science. It is a study of numbers, space, and data. This is a best way to analyze different types like numbers, space, like I'm going to say geometry,
Fine.
and
By sorry for the
what we
intervention.
usually heard is
My first question is, I wanted to define mathematics. You are all correct. There is no secondary thought. What you say is perfectly fits into the concept of mathematics. My question is, define mathematics. Okay. This is what is supposed to be.
Another one, mathematics is a
Mathematics
natural
is a
language.
natural language.
Natural language, a universal language.
Hello.
Mm.
It's a
Once again, you are
language of
telling
science.
attributes, you are telling usages, you are telling applications. My fundamental question is, what is mathematics?
It's
Or
a
my
language of science.
another way of question is this: why mathematics seems to be difficult for a social science fellow? Why do they are somewhat allergic? I feel mathematics is a very comfortable for the people who enjoy. The same time, it is most discomfort thing for a fellow who couldn't come into the stream. So you define mathematics. Okay, just I will give. Mathematics is a language. It's a language, there is no question. What type of language it is? In which statements have no appeal. Mathematics is a language in which statements have no appeal. What does it mean? Once if I write a statement in mathematics, it is proved according to the methodology of mathematics, or somebody is told according to the logical tools of mathematics. Once a statement is proved, No one in the world can dispute that this is not true. Someone will say, sir, you are beautiful today. That what does it mean? I will not be beautiful tomorrow. Sir, yesterday you were very fine in your lecture. That is an indication that today you are not doing well. But in mathematics, if a statement is proved once, it is ever valid. You know, in mathematical, in the language of English, the statements in mathematics are always in present tense. You are using only is. This is. This proved. Is countable. Is uncountable. You are not putting was, shall, will, etc., etc. So always it is in the present tense. And above all, can you put a legal suit against Lagrange's theorem in any court of law? No, because it is proved. Once it is accepted, it is proved according to your methodology of mathematics, it is ever valid. No one can question. So our job is writing statements in such a way that it is ever valid. So to inculcate such a talent among the minds of the people, the mathematics is giving tools. It focuses the objects in such a way that you are capable of writing statements without any ambiguity or with no appeal by anybody. Okay, who is mathematician? Who is mathematician?
A person who studies mathematics.
A person studying mathematics. Okay, then, but it is something, please, anybody? Mathematician is a blind man sitting in a dark room, looking for a black cat. Until then, it is not anything very enjoyable. The last word is enjoyable, which is not at all there. What is research in mathematics? By way of your exposition, you select that I am very fond of analysis. I am very fond of geometry. I like differential equations very much. So you select a topic which is very close to your heart. You go through the subject. You identify a problem. You yourself, by way of accumulation of knowledge, you suggest a solution or you pursue a solution. You make it as a theorem. You prove yourself. Somebody says it is not true. So these statements, in fact, when I was very young, I published a paper in a very good journal. I took it to the Vice Chancellor. He said, just by going through the lines, these lines are created by you to confuse yourself. You see, the lines written by you, it is your own creation. You write a theorem statement, you prove yourself. So these are all self-created things. That is what people say. Mathematicians create their own problems and they get into the solutions. This is not by me, it is by Charles Darwin. This quote is by, okay. Now let me get into the topic, Cayley graphs. In fact, there are many ways to associate graphs from algebraic structures. In fact, given a ring, given a vector space, given a group, you can have a graph construction. In fact, the very first ever graph construction is Cayley graphs from groups. In fact, the first construction, it is by Arthur Cayley in 1878 in the Journal of American Mathematical Society, Volume 2, the very first paper. The title of the paper was this: Pictorial Representation of finite groups. Of course, the graph theory was considered to be the geometry of algebra. The people were thinking that the inner geometrical things of the algebra is being exposed through graph theory. So the title of the paper was Pictorial Representation of Finite Groups. And later on, in fact, in my opinion, Cayley graphs are very well studied. At least I can give you some 500 papers on Cayley graphs. Just I have a folder, I can transfer to you. There is no problem. So starting from the inception and after several years, so much of work has been done on Cayley graphs. In the very recent time, there is a very greater application in parallel computing for Cayley graphs. For example, you take your laptop or desktop or whatever it is. It is a machine. It has got a CPU, central processing unit. It is a processor. It is a fellow. You are giving some input through your software. You are getting something. Algorithm is there. You are getting output. All these things are being done by the CPU or processor one. In the language of computer science, this laptop or desktop is a sequential computer. Anything which uses only one processor is supposed to be called as a sequential computer. Suppose you see, in terms of technology, anything which is reducing by cost day by day is computer. If you have a configuration today, you will see in Hindu newspaper, you will see 32,999 rupees. After 1 week, at least 200 rupees will be less. In fact, I used to tell in a jovial way that if you know arithmetic progression, you will not buy a computer. Why? Today it is 10,000 rupees. Every week it is getting at least 10 rupees or 100 rupees less. Yeah, arithmetic progression, starting with the positive term with the negative difference will lead to 0 at one point of time. So the HCL wala will be in front of my house with the free laptop because it is getting reduced every day. In fact, there are free laptops available. Only thing that configuration is something different. So the technology takes care of the things that instead of one processor, you can have a computer with more than one processor. You imagine that you have got a computer with 5 processors. In fact, there are supercomputers, they are with so multiple processors. One of the important configuration about supercomputers is they contain more than one processor. Now you imagine a situation, you have got a computer system wherein more than one processor is involved. Now, what is a consequential thing which has to be taken care of? When you have a teamwork, there is a fellow to coordinate. The teamwork members must communicate among themselves. So, when you take a processor, a computer with 4 processors, let me put it, these are all processors. Okay, 4 processors. Each one is a fellow who need to communicate with other fellow for some data or something. That means, suppose there is a edge between these 2 vertices, I represent each processor as a vertex. If there is a edge between these 2, this means to say these 2 processors can interchange information among themselves. Suppose this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. The processor 1 can interact with 3. If at all it wanted to interact with 2, it has to via 3. So when you have a parallel computer with 4 processors, there is a necessity of what is the underlying network which facilitates communication between processors. That problem is called routing problem. In the sense of parallel computing, that is called routing problem. And people started exploring what are all best networks. Network means the connectivity among the processors. Suppose if I employ this network, it is a cycle. So when I order for a parallel computer, it is my duty to tell how many processors and what is the underlying network. Suppose, can you say which one is a comfortable network for 4 processors? Comfortable in the sense that anybody can communicate with anybody else. Comfortability, that's what I mean. So what could be what is the very best comfortable network when I have a computer with 4 processors?
Complete graph.
Complete graph, yes. But the problem is it is cost involved. When I ask complete graph as an underlying routing network, the fellow will demand more money. So ultimately, as a combinatorial optimization problem, what is the optimal network which facilitates best communication among the processors, for which it is realized that Cayley graphs are very suitable networks for routing problem. So because of this application, another dimension of study on Cayley graphs was recently started. Okay. And of course, there are very famous Cayley networks, cycles, toroids, complete graphs, and so on and so forth, just we will see. In fact, this Cayley graph is not only the graph from groups. There are groups called commuting graphs, non-commuting graphs, and there are so many graph constructs, power graph, enhanced power graph. They are all graphs from groups. Of course, there are parallelly graphs from rings, and they are eclectically studied. Zero divisor, total, and so on and so forth. At least in my opinion, there are about some 25 graph constructions from rings alone. Okay. These are my notations. I always, when I denote gamma, that is a finite group. Throughout my talk, on all 4 sessions, gamma is a finite group. And I consider a subset omega of gamma. And I mean to say omega equal to omega inverse means this is called a symmetric property, because the elements are group elements, they have got inverses. I expect that inverses should also be in omega. Then I denote this is the Cayley graph on gamma with respect to omega. And this is the notation for unitary Cayley graph on Zn with respect to units. Okay. So let me take a finite group. What is meant by symmetric generating set? What is meant by generating set? Suppose I take a subset omega of gamma. It is said to be a generating set provided every element A in gamma is a product of elements of omega. That is what I mean generating set. So generating set of a finite group means it is a set of elements through which all the elements of the group can be generated. That's what we have written here. Every element A in gamma is a product of some elements in omega. And throughout our talk, we assume 2 conditions on this generating set. I consider a finite group. I take a generating set. Two conditions. First condition is identity element should not be in omega. And the second condition is whenever an element A is there, A inverse should also be there. So I expect that whenever an element A is in omega, its inverse should also be there. That is called the symmetric property. So always I consider generating sets enjoying these two properties. Okay, can you give me an example of a generating set? Suppose I take Z6, congruent modulo 6 classes with respect to addition modulo 6 operation. Can you give me a generating set for this one? Omega 1 is equal to 1, 5. Of course, I am not writing this as 1 bar to represent the conjugacy equivalence class. Just I write 1, 5. Abuse of notation. And what is the identity element in this group? In this group, identity element is 0. So which has not been included there. Therefore, the first condition is satisfied. What is the second condition? Whenever an element is there, its inverse. What is the inverse of 1? Under addition modulo 6, inverse is 5. Therefore, it satisfies both the conditions. Then another generating set, 1, 3, 5. Now my question is, I have exhibited identity element is not there. It enjoys symmetric property. And where is the guarantee that this generates all the elements of Z6? Where is the guarantee that the elements in this generating sets generate all the elements of G6? Can anyone say? How can I say that this is a generating set?
One will generate all the elements.
One will generate all the elements. Okay.
So 5 also.
Okay, 5. Suppose I take this omega 3 equal to 2, 3, sorry, 2, 3, 4. Is it a generating set?
Yes.
Why?
No. 2 and 3 will give me 5, and 5 generates everything. So it is a generating set.
Even though the individual elements are not generating each and everything, they combinedly generate this. 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. 5 is relatively prime to 6. 5 will generate all the elements. Therefore, this directly there need not be one single generator. They combinedly they can generate the things. Of course, we know the famous cyclic groups. They are generated by single element. And you know dihedral group. Dihedral group for any positive integer n greater than or equal to 3, D2n is equal to, that is a group generated by two elements A, B. One element is of order n, another element is of order 2, and the relation is A power I, B is equal to B into A power n minus I. This is the cyclic group. Sorry, dihedral group. In fact, the dihedral group is nothing but the set of all symmetries of a regular polygon of 6 sides. It's geometrically, it is rotations and reflections. For example, if you take a square, what are the reflections? You know, rotation, you know, you can rotate 90 degrees Symmetry means after applying the transformation, the image should not get it changed. It should be same. Suppose if you reflect this way about this line, if you reflect the square, you will get the same thing. Generated by two elements. Symmetric group S3, the set of all permutations of degree 3, it is generated by two elements. One element is of order 2, 1 transposition. Another element is nothing but a cycle of length 3. These two elements generate this symmetric group. One can check it. All the 6 elements will get it. In fact, S3 is isomorphic to D6. Fine. And in this, all these things, one important thing to be noted is, I am not expecting the generating set to be minimal, in the sense that, for example, in the last case, in the case of this 1, 1, 2 for Z6, 1 itself will generate all the elements. But sorry, not 1, 5, Z6. So 1 itself will generate all the elements. However, we have included 5 also. So it is not a minimal generating set. And of course, it is a NP complete problem. Given finite group gamma, can you give me necessary and sufficient condition for a subset omega to be a generating set of gamma? No such condition is available. Of course, it is nothing but you have to consider the power set of gamma. It contains 2 power n elements. You have to identify one among these 2 power n. It is exponentially complex problem. So it is a NP complete problem. There is no sufficient, necessary and sufficient condition available for generating sets of finite groups. Okay. Now let me formally define what is meant by Kelly graph. Given a finite group gamma and a generating set omega, satisfying the conditions C1 and C2, let me define a Kelly graph G, which is equal to V, E, and the corresponding, of course, to specify any graph, one need to have V of G. What is a vertex set? Vertex set is full group gamma, and the edge set is, please look at the edge set. X and Y are joined, provided X, Y in gamma, A in omega, and this is what very important in this context. Can anyone recall Kelly's theorem in group theory? Can anyone recall Kelly's theorem in group theory?
Yes, every group is a subgroup of some symmetric group.
Any group, any finite group, any group can be embedded in the symmetric group on this. That's what any group can be. If it is finite, if it is containing n elements, this is n. Yes. Of course, when you recall the proof, every element A here being mapped to a permutation Fa. That's what we used to do it. Of course, what is the definition of this Fa as a permutation, as a bijection? What is this? A is associated with Fa. What is Fa?
A times X.
A times X or X times A according to your composition. Whether you take it left or right. Whenever in mathematics, this particular operation is involved, it is always referred as Cayley, because this theorem is a Cayley theorem. This operation in mathematics, it is called regular representation. This is always the credit goes to Cayley. So that is what here again you please see the operation is XA. So because of this operation only, this graph is named as Cayley graph. So Cayley graph means given a finite group, symmetric generating set omega, we construct a graph for which the vertex set is gamma and the edge set is x comma y equal to xa. So y and x are joined provided they satisfy the property y equal to xa for some a in omega. Okay. Of course, it is always denoted by Cayley of gamma comma omega. Now, just I would like to ask the question. What is the impact of C1? Namely, identity element is not in omega. What is the impact in the construction of graph?
No
Suppose
loops.
if I include no loops, because you see, if I include identity, here I will write x equal to x into E. Ultimately, every vertex is joined to itself. Please recall that I have given a very good application for the Cayley network. Cayley network is a routing network, which is for the purpose of giving communication facility between two processors. When I write an edge of this kind, it is meaningful. When I write an edge of this kind, what does it mean? I am communicating myself through this link. So we teachers, we always request the students, don't switch on the cell phone in the campus. Don't use it in the something. Just you put one rule. Whenever you talk to yourself, it is also metered. It is also counted. Because this is what the meaning. Self loop means to talk to myself, I have to pay money. So if you put this rule, no fellow will switch on his mobile. Because once it is on, it is automatically getting, caste is getting involved. So this exclusion of the identity element from the generating set gives you, or it eliminates the loops in the Cayley network. Okay. And what is the inclusion of the, what is the implication of the symmetric set? I will go to an example and then so that things are okay, fine. You take the this cyclic group Zn, congruent to modulo n classes. The elements are being denoted by this way. Let me take the generating set as 1 comma n minus 1. Then the corresponding graph is nothing but Cayley graph Cn, for example. Sorry. Yeah. Suppose I take 6 elements. 0, 1. This is the congruent modulo 6 classes. I have represented the elements of the group as vertices. My generating set is 1 comma n minus 1. N is 6 here, therefore 1 comma 5. Let me take this as y, this as x, this as x. Y is joined to x provided it satisfies this condition. In our case, it is addition modulo 6. So y and x are joined provided there exists an element A in the generating set. If it because y is equal to 1 is equal to 0 plus 1. This is y, this is x, this is A. On the other hand, 0 equal to 1 plus 5. This is y, this is x, this is A. That means to say these two are joined. So strictly speaking, at each and every point, this is due to 1, this is due to its inverse 5. Similarly, so this is what Kelly graph corresponding to Z6 with respect to the generating set 1, 5. However, I refer this as only this way. The cycle of length 6. This is what I am saying. In the language of graph theory, I am taking the underlying simple graph. Okay. Strictly speaking, this is what happening. Both ways, there is a technology-wise. What does it represents? You see, this is one node. This is another node. This gives communication facility between them. You see, nowadays we are seeing the word the fiber cable, fiber network, fiber connectivity, FTTH. What is the speciality about fiber material? In fact, most of the this telecommunication operators, they will put a rod. There is a fiber cable under 3 meters, under 1 meter, etc. Fiber is a material which is capable of transmitting signals simultaneously in both ways. So because of that, there is a technology which takes care of communication in both ways simultaneously. That is why symmetric property is expected in Kelly networks. It is the representation that it is the meaning that this in this you can communicate both ways. So what I said is for any n, you can construct the cycle as the Kelly graph for which the group is Zn, the generating set is 1, n minus 2. Anybody wanted to ask anything? Yeah. Okay. To consider another example, Z6 1 3 5. What is this one? This is the 0 1 2 3 4 5. You please see my thing is that these are the. You please look into that. This is because of 1 in this generating set. This edge is because of 3 in the generating set. This is because of 5 in the generating set. Look at carefully. Similarly, at each and every point, you can see at a particular vertex, each element of the generating set generates one particular edge. Okay. So similarly, if you take this point, this is generated by 4 to 3 is generated by 5, 4 plus 5, modulo 6, 3. Then 4 plus 3, 4 plus 1. So you can see at each and every point, a generating element, an element of the generating set gives you one edge. This is the Kelly network. Okay. A very special kind of Kelly graphs is called circular graphs. Circular graph means they are Kelly graphs derived out of finite cyclic groups. So any Kelly graph constructed on finite cyclic group is this is a circular graph. This cycle is a circular graph because they are all constructed out of the finite cyclic group. Of course, I will be concentrating in a later talk for any positive integer n and an integer k in between 1 and n minus 1 by 2. One can always construct a circular graph on Gn with respect to this generating set 1, 2, 3, etc. k, n minus k, etc. n minus 1. We have done a very considerable work on this particular group with respect to this generating set. So circular graph means it's a Kelly graph constructed on finite cyclic groups. Okay. Of course, this is the finite cyclic group Z8 with respect to the generating set 1, 3, 5, 7. So 0, this is 1, this is due to 1, this is due to 3, this is due to 5, this is due to 7. Similarly, you can identify the things. By this time, you might have come to some observation regarding Kelly graphs. Okay. How many vertices it has got? Let Kelly, gamma, comma, omega. This is a Kelly graph. How many vertices it has got? Number of vertices is number of elements in the finite group. How many edges? Or what is the degree of a particular vertex in these graphs? What is the degree of the vertex in these graphs? You see, what is the degree of each and every vertex here?
4.
Isn't it?
Cardinality of omega.
Cardinality of omega. Can you say how this regular? This is regular. What is the reason?
Y is equal to x into a belongs to omega.
Yeah.
So for every a, this happens.
Yeah. Suppose you take x, you take one generating set element a1, which gives y1. Same x, I take another generating set elements a2, I get y2. Okay. When a1 is distinct from a2, definitely y1 is distinct from y2. Why? When a1 is distinct from a2,
Cancellation
y1
law.
is, that is what cancellation law in the group theory. Unless you have the group theoretical property, your Cayley network will not be regular. That means to say, for distinct elements a1 and a2, one may get x plus a1 and x plus a2 as same. So the algebraic property of cancellation law ensures that the underlying Cayley graph is regular. Okay. So number of edges incident at a particular vertex is cardinality of omega. It's cardinality of omega regular. How many edges it will have? The Cayley graph, how many edges will have? You know number of vertices. You know degree of each and every.
Cardinality of omega into cardinality of gamma by 2.
By 2, yes. So it is regular and the number of edges is this. And because of these things, this regularity, it is one of the preferential networks. Okay. The very next property is the Cayley graph is connected. Why? So my claim is Cayley graph is connected. So how to prove any Cayley graph is connected? What I should do as a graph theoretical sense, I have to take two elements x and y To prove the graph is connected, what I must do? I must give a path between any two distinct vertices in this graph. Then the graph is connected. Already we have observed that it is regular. In order to prove connectivity, by taking two distinct vertices, I must exhibit a path between them. That's what my job. Okay. You take x comma y and x is different from x. Then x inverse y is an element of gamma. Because of the reason that x inverse exists. Once again, please note that this I can write only when this is a group. Again, the algebraic property is involved. Without algebraic property, I cannot write this. So x inverse of y is an omega. Once it is an element of gamma, it is generated by some elements of omega. There exists a1, a2, etc. an in omega such that this xy inverse is the product of a1, a2, etc. a. Now, the same thing can be written as y is equal to xa1, a2, etc. a. You know how to these two are suppose this is x, this is a1. What is this element? What is this vertex in terms of group element? This I
X
take
plus-
it as x. X
X plus
A1.
A1.
x
X into
a1.
A. X into
Okay,
A.
fine. So in this sense, x into a1, there is a edge. Once again, a2 I am multiplying, there is a edge, etc., etc. After some time, I will reach y. Ultimately, x and y are connected by a path. So the Cayley graph is always connected. Already we have observed that it is regular. It is a connected regular graph. Okay, fine. And in mathematics, there is a very beautiful tool of direct product. Whenever you have two groups, if you want to have a group of higher order, I wanted to have a group of order 8 or group of order 10. If I know two groups of order 2 and 5, then I can construct 10. So the very efficient tool is direct. Let gamma 1 be the group generated by omega 1. Gamma 2 be the group generated by omega 2. Then consider the direct product gamma 1 direct product gamma 2. Now my question is, once you know the generating sets omega 1 and omega 2, can you give me a generating set for this group? So that's what the concern. Now please see this one. So if I know two finite groups and their corresponding generating sets, in the direct product, the elements of gamma 1 are in the first component. So let me say generating set elements along with the identity element in the second component. Similarly, these elements in the second component, identity element of the first component, and this is a generating set for the direct product. That is, if you happen to know the generating sets of the individual groups, I can find the direct product, and also it is possible for me to find one generating set for this one. So the generating set of the direct product can be done this way. Okay, fine. You consider the direct product of Zn and Zn. Please note that Zn is generated by Zn is generated by 1 comma n minus 1. Zm is generated by 1 comma m minus 1. So this is my omega 1, this is my omega 2. So once I know this, joining 0 in the second component, this is omega 1 direct product 0, this is 0 direct product omega 2. I get the generating set and the corresponding Cayley graph of the direct product with respect to this generating set is called n by m toroid. The cycle is one-dimensional. The toroid is two-dimensional. For example, you take n is equal to 3, m is equal to 4, then the corresponding Cayley graph is this. This is a Cayley graph on Z3 times Z4. So this is a 0 cross Z4, 1 cross Z4, 2 cross Z4. All the 12 elements are plotted. The generating set is 1, 0, 2, 0, 0, 1, 0, 3. At any point
So
of
it
time,
looks like a Cartesian product of
yeah, it is a Cartesian product of
C4.
now one C4.
Cartesian product of
C4 cross C3.
all right. C4 cross.
Yeah,
Cartesian
So in the
product of
Cartesian
C4.
product, every
Yeah.
element will be mapped to every element. Here it is not like this.
Yeah.
Cartesian
edge
product, it is
the
A
edge
comma B, where
adjacency is
A in A and B in
in
B.
fact, in my opinion, this is a subgraph of the Cartesian product of. That's what I mean to say. Because some more edges will be there. Am I
No,
correct?
sir. No, sir. It
No,
is.
sir, it is
It is a
exactly equal
Cartesian
to.
product.
It
This
is
is a
Cartesian product exactly.
Because there are so many products in graphs. Cartesian product, what is the adjacency?
Sir, for every vertex, there is a copy and adjacent to all the. For
For every-
C4, if you take
The first component is in Cartesian product. B is adjacent to CD if A is equal to B and sorry, A is equal to C and B is adjacent to D, or
Yeah. Or A is adjacent to C and B equal to D.
B equal to D, yes, sir. And other product is that
There is some product, strong product, algebraic
Yeah,
product.
there are many
That's,
things.
here
So
is the Cartesian product of C4 cross C3.
Yeah.
It is isomorphic.
Okay, fine.
Right.
That's so. But my tool is I am deriving out of the product of groups. That's what my tool. This is what I mean to say. Whenever I have got individual groups, I can get higher dimension. That is called the toroid. And of course, there are supercomputers using this as a network. Okay. Now let me go one more dimension. Consider direct product of Z2 with itself n times. Gamma equal to Z2 times Z2 times Z2, etc. n times. Of course, this is orthonormal, standard orthonormal basis. Set of all n tuples with 1 in ith place and 0 otherwise. E1, E2, etc. En. And then this definitely this is a generating for this one. Once this is a generating set, I can construct the Cayley graph that is called the n-dimensional binary hypercube. Of course, when n is equal to 3, this is the graph. Of course, all the 8 elements are plotted. And please note that 2 elements are distinct, elements are adjacent, if and only if. Can anyone say in terms of without any language of generating set and all that? These 2 are adjacent because of the reason that
If they differ in exactly one position.
yeah, it is differ in exactly one position. In terms of coding theory, these are all called perfect codes, and there is another language also there. Fine. And of course, at this point, it is my bounden duty to inform the audience that so far I have considered only abelian groups. This is the first in the symmetric group of degree n. Of course, one of the transpose generating set is 1, I, 2 less than or equal to I less than or equal to n. These transpositions shall generate this one because of every permutation is the product of transpositions. So this And the corresponding Cayley graph is called star graph. And this is denoted by STN. Of course, this is ST3. You please note that ST3 means the vertex set is all permutations on 3 symbols, 3 factorial 6. 2 vertices are connected by an edge if and only if this Cayley graph condition is true. So this is the ST3. And one of the important properties about this STN is it is possible to construct ST4 through ST3. It is a recursive construction is possible. What I should do is I have to plot this way. You see, each and every time this is one ST3, sorry. This way, I can embed 6 ST3, I will get ST4. Yes. So similarly, it is recursively possible to construct this graph. That is one of the benefits. And of course, I am to inform you that there are, in my opinion, at least 9 generating sets for Sn, different generating sets for Sn, the symmetric group of N. And the graphs are very minimum studied. They are not well studied, except in very few cases, wide open with regard to the problem. Okay.
Sir,
Please.
can you please say once again when the 2 permutations are adjacent in this graph, star graph?
Yeah, just a minute. You please see this one. Yeah, 2 vertices are adjacent provided ij is a permutation in omega. Or leave alone, yeah, I will come to that example. These 2 are adjacent. This is 1, this is 1. What is this? Actually, generating set is 1, 2, 1, 3. Am I correct? Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 3. This is 1, 2, 3, 1 to 1, 3, 2. This one. You multiply with 1, 2, 3. This one. 3, 1. Sorry, 2, 1. This I am taking. This multiply to 1 to 1, 1 to 3, 1 to 3, 2 to 3, 3 to 1, 2 to 1, 3 to 2. This is what this. Am I correct? Are you clear now? This is X.
Yes.
This is A. This is Y. Permutive product of permutations. Y equal to X into A. So this is 1, 3 generates this one. Am I correct? Are you clear now? Somebody?
Yes. Yes, sir.
This is because of 1, 2. You make this 1, 2, you will get this one. This is 1, 3. This is 1, 2. This is 1, 3. Because only there are 2, I can give all this one.
Sir,
So,
maybe it is above.
but
1 goes to 3. That is what we get here, right? Okay.
you
Yes,
see
sir. Yes.
how you
Yes, sir.
make a
Yes.
product is important.
Okay. 1
I
goes
am
to 3.
left
2
to
goes
right.
to 1. Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. I am left to right. So if you take it to right to left, you will get something different. That's. But however, this is ST3. Okay, am I clear? Fine.
Sir, I have one question.
Please, please.
If generating set is different, then the graph will be different. Am I right?
If you give me, for example, your question is this:
Uh,
gamma is a finite group.
and you said that
Omega 1, yeah, just a minute. Omega
yeah.
2.
Hmm.
Your question is these two will give one graph. These two will give another graph. Whether these two are distinct or same. That's what your question. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Suppose if this condition is true, what can you observe now?
Both graphs
What
have same regularity and same number
and the
of
same
edges.
number of vertices. Isomorphic?
Yes, okay, isomorphic.
Yeah.
Isomorphic. Because it is only a
Gentlemen,
permutation of n vertices, isn't it?
Yes.
Because each point the regularity plays a vital role. So when the cardinalities are different, the graphs are different. Okay.
Okay.
Now, these are all some simple observations. Suppose you take a Cayley graph, you take the Cayley mapping as I indicated in the Cayley theorem, fa of x equal to ax. It is a graph automorphism, but not a group automorphism. You please note that. Sorry. Fa, I take it. It is from gamma to gamma. This is what a definition. So graph automorphism means between vertex sets such that the adjacency must be preserved. Suppose x and y are adjacent, then as per Cayley condition, this is xa. You apply f of y is y a ay. You let me put this. Sorry. I take fa gamma to gamma. Suppose x and y are adjacent. Instead of a, I put b because a is used. Then ay is equal to ax into b. So thereby these two elements are adjacent. Am I correct? So there is a bijection between vertex sets. It preserves adjacency. Therefore, it is a graph automorphism. At the same point of time, it is not a group automorphism because fa of xy, a into xy need not be equal to ax into ay. It is equal to ax into ay only when a is identity. So a graph automorphism need not be group automorphism. However, these graph automorphisms play a vital role in another property of the Cayley graph. Okay. This is what a very notable or very important property about Cayley graphs. Cayley graphs are vertex transitive. In fact, in the pandemic situation, the vertex transitive property is very much implied. The concept of work at home. There is a network. What is called vertex transitive? Given AB, there is a automorphism which takes A to B without any change. Automorphism means A to without any change. That is, a fellow working at Pune can do the same work by sitting at Tirunelveli. So the work in one processor can be transformed to another processor without any problem. That is what the existence of an automorphism takes care of. That is called vertex transitive property. So the Cayley graphs are very strongly preferred networks for routing problem because they enjoy the property of vertex transitivity. Okay, how do you prove? In fact, similarly, edge transitivity is there. Vertex transitive graphs are regular. if a graph is vertex transitive, it is regular. It is a trivial observation because if you take a particular vertex, this is the degree, means I can consider this to another vertex that is also without any change, isomorphism, thereby degree must be same. If these two adjacent, these two must be adjacent, so degree must be same. The vertex transitive graphs are regular. And vertex transitivity neither implies edge transitivity and the other way, they are independent. Converse is not true. What is the converse I mean here? Converse of this statement is not true. What does it mean? A regular
Not every-
graph need not be vertex transitive. A regular graph need not be vertex transitive. So I have to give an example, effective example. So that's what. In graph theory, this graph is a very, very important graph. In fact, there is a book on Peterson graph. Peterson graph, a counter example. At least in my knowledge, there are about 200 properties in graph theory for which the counter example is Peterson graph. A very simple graph, but it is. So what is the claim here? Peterson graph is regular, but not vertex transitive. Peterson graph is regular, but not vertex transitive. Okay. Just let me give you what is Peterson graph. So my claim is Peterson graph is regular, but not vertex transitive. Before getting into the proof of this statement, first let me prove that every Cayley graph is vertex transitive. So what will be the modification of the previous statement? Peterson graph is regular, but not vertex transitive. Having proved this, the statement could be revised as Peterson graph is a regular graph, but not a Cayley graph. Am I correct? So my first claim is Peterson graph is regular, but not vertex transitive. I am proving that every Cayley graph is vertex transitive. So by combining these two statements, Peterson graph is a regular graph, but not a Cayley graph. That's what my contention. That is, every Cayley graph is regular, but the converse is not true. Every regular graph need not be a Cayley graph. Okay. How to prove the Cayley graph is vertex transitive? Fine. You take A and B. According to the definition, I have to construct an automorphism which takes A to B, graph automorphism. This one. Then you consider this. A is an element of the group. Ultimately, I can consider A inverse, FA inverse. Already we have observed that FA of X that is equal to AX is a graph automorphism. Therefore, this is a graph automorphism. And you apply FA inverse of B, A into A inverse of B, that's equal to B. The very simple observation of algebraic domain makes you to prove that every Cayley graph is vertex transitive. Okay. Now, so let me come to the statement that Peterson graph is regular, but not vertex transitive. In fact, as a consequence, we claim that Peterson graph is not a Cayley graph. This is what Peterson graph. This contains how many vertices? How many vertices?
Oh, sorry. 16, I think.
Vertices.
10 vertices.
10 vertices.
Yeah.
How many edges?
50.
Huh?
50.
15. What's the diameter of this graph? 10, 15. What is the diameter of this vertex? This graph? What do you
3.
mean by diameter? It is the supreme distance between vertices in the graph. What is diameter?
3.
What? Diameter 3. Diameter 3.
Guess.
Can you give me a pair of vertices which are connected by at least a path of length 3,
2.
diameter 2 or 3?
It's 2.
It's 2, sir.
2, sir. Between any two pair of vertices, if you take this and this, path of length 2,
Yeah.
diameter is 2.
It's 2.
Is it regular?
3 regular.
What is K?
3.
It's 3.
So Peterson graph is a graph on 10 vertices with 15 edges, diameter 2, and this it is 3 regular. Okay, with this. Now, strictly speaking, from the previous slide, my claim is this one. It is not a Cayley graph. If I prove that it is not a Cayley graph, automatically it cannot be vertex transitive, because every Cayley graph is vertex transitive. So my claim is this Peterson graph is not a Cayley graph. How to prove something is not, that's a very complicated issue. So a graph with the 10 vertices, 15 edges, diameter 2, 3 regular, I claim that this is not a Cayley graph. How to prove? Can anyone set the domain? How to prove my state? How to start the proof? Proof is this is given graph is not a Cayley graph. What is the best tool in mathematical proof to ascertain this fact?
Sir, by
Maybe contradiction.
Maybe by contradiction.
It's not just, it is not embedded with any,
It is not
embedded with
embedded.
any other edges. It is statement
I
of-
don't understand.
but there are 10 vertices.
Yes,
in
Peterson graph has
graph.
got 10 vertices.
So we know
Ye-
what are all the groups of order 10.
Okay, fine. It is
So
3
they are
regular.
either Z2 cross Z5, that is Z10. It is either a cyclic group of order 10
Hmm,
or it is a dihedral group.
that's what. Okay. Now let me list out the properties. Peterson graph has got 10 vertices, 3 regular, diameter 2. Suppose Peterson graph is a Cayley graph. Because it is having 10 vertices, the underlying group should have 10 cardinality. And it is 3 regular, thereby the generating set must have 3 elements. So if at all the Peterson graph is a Cayley graph, there must exist a finite group of 10 elements with the generating set of 3 elements. That's what one should have it. Okay. And it is the fact that the diameter for a Cayley graph means D means, what is that the connection between the diameter and this omega and this gamma? If D is the diameter of the Cayley graph, then all the elements of the group can be covered by omega, union omega square, union etc. Omega D, where omega to the power I is created by this way. I think, am I clear in this step? You take omega. What is omega square means? I have to combine elements of omega A, B. A and B are elements of omega. So I have to take all products of pairs of elements. Similarly, omega cube means I have to take elements, one element here, I should take. So when I find all these things, diameter D means at the dth point of time, if you take union, I will get the full group. Okay. And as someone said, there are only two non-isomorphic groups of order 10. One is Z10, another one is diagonal group of order 10. Of course, the first one is cyclic, second one is, first one is cyclic and abelian, second one is non-abelian. First one is generated by single element, this is generated by two elements. Okay. If at all the Peterson graph is a Kelly graph, these are the only possibilities for gamma. So for these two groups, I must find one subset omega with three elements satisfying these two properties, and diameter 2 means what I must get it. You see what I should get it. So gamma is either Z10 or D10. I have to select omega, three elements, and gamma must be equal to omega union omega square, diameter is 2. You see, this is what must be true. For these two graphs, I must take a subset of three elements with the symmetric property, which gives you this, but you cannot find a three element subset satisfying this property for any of these two groups. Therefore, it is a contradiction. So the problem is the Peterson graph is not a Kelly graph. It is not vertex transitive, even though it is regular. In the sense that the regular graphs is a very larger class. So this is Kelly, this is regular. It is a class of regular graphs. This is Kelly graphs. So this way, there exists at least one which is not this. Fine. And there is another class of Kelly graphs called unitary Kelly graphs. Unitary Kelly graph means it is a circular graph defined on the finite cyclic group Zn is equal to 0, 1, 2, etc. Sorry, this is not n, that is n minus 1, because n is congruent modulo 0. And the edge set is this. This is called unitary Kelly graph. Of course, people may wonder that what is the generating set without giving the generating set, only the vertex set and the edge set are given. How do you claim that this is a Kelly graph? Of course, this is a Kelly graph in the sense that vertex set is this group and edges are created by this way. That is A minus, in fact, this is, please note that y is equal to xa, x and y are joined as an edge. The same thing can be written in another way. X inverse y equal to A is an element of the generating set. You forget this. You can take these two vertices are joined provided X inverse of y is an element of them. When the group is abelian, this condition becomes X minus y is an element of omega. This is minus x, y minus x. Y minus x means x minus y is also there. Therefore, in the case of abelian group, the adjacency is defined by x and y are adjacent provided x minus y is in A. Okay, that's what being put up here. Sorry. X minus y is an element of the. And what is U of Zn? It is the set of all units in Zn with respect to multiplication modulo n. In fact, even though this seems to be a graph construction from the finite cyclic group, the underlying multiplication is also used here. It is strictly a graph construction from the ring, this one. And because of this property, this is called unitary Kelly graph. Okay. And this graph is a well-studied graph. Okay, fine. And as we have observed earlier, this Xn is a regular graph of degree. This is Euler P function. Number of units is nothing but this one. And suppose if n is equal to a prime number, then the unitary graph, Kelly graph, is a complete graph on P elements. In particular, this x5 is equal to k5. Suppose n is equal to p power alpha, p is a prime number, alpha is an integer, then the unitary Kelly graph is a complete p-parted graph, in which complete p-parted means this is one part, this is another part, this is another part. So the edges are in between them only. This is called the complete p-parted. There is no edge in one part, so no edge here, no edge here, this one. So this, when n is equal to p power alpha, this unitary Kelly graph is a p-parted graph, especially when p is equal to 3, alpha is equal to 2. This is K333. One part contains 1, 3, 0, 3, 6. Another part 1, 4, 7. Another part 2, 5, 8. So this one. And please note that what is the difference of these two? 0, -2 in Z9. What is 0, -2? X minus y. What is that? I am considering the group Z9. Hello? 7. Which is definitely a unit here because 7 and 9 are relatively prime. What is the difference between 3 minus 6? 6, which is not relatively prime to 9, therefore they are not adjacent. So if you take the difference of any two elements, one in one set, another in another set, the difference is a unit, therefore adjacent. If you take elements in one single set, the difference is not a unit, therefore it is not adjacent. So ultimately, this is the complete bipartite graph. Of course, I think I have to stop at this definition. A graph is said to be perfect if for every induced subgraph G dash of G, the chromatic number and the clique number are same. A graph is said to be weakly perfect instead of all induced subgraph. If chi of G equal to omega of G, that is called weakly perfect. And it has been proved that these unitary Kelly graphs are always weakly perfect, and for some n it is perfect also. So xn is weakly perfect, for certain xn it is perfect also, and what are they? It has to be proved. I think I have to stop at this stage, isn't it? Or can I continue? Hello.
You have 5 minutes.
Okay, fine. Just I will complete this one. So my claim is this. Given any positive integer n, if p is the smallest prime divisor of n, then the chromatic number and the clique number of the unitary Kelly graph is p. At the same time, the chromatic number and the clique number of the complement is n by p. So I am taking n, p is the smallest prime divisor, then the chromatic number and the clique number of the unitary Kelly graph are same p. Okay, just a simple fact. You take Xn. P is the smallest prime divisor. You consider this set. Can you observe anything, the difference of a pair of elements here? You take two elements in this set, consider the difference, whether it will be greater than P or less than P. In this set, 2 minus 1, P minus 1 minus 2, something. The difference of any two elements here, it is always less than P. Am I correct?
Yes.
P is a what?
Yes,
Am I
sir.
correct? Sir, okay. And definitely it is this less than P. You see, I take this X minus Y, X and Y in this set. Their difference is less than P. Then what is the GCD of X comma Y and N when P is the smallest prime divisor of N?
1.
1, definitely 1. Therefore, every pair of vertices is adjacent. Ultimately, it is a clique in X. Okay. So our aim is we wanted to prove that the clique number is P. What is the clique number? It is the size of the maximal clique in any graph. I could determine one clique which is of order P in this. If at all I wanted to prove the clique number is equal to P, it is my bounden duty to prove that no more clique of higher order exists. Okay. And in fact, in any graph, the chromatic number is always greater than or equal to clique number, because if you take a clique, you need at least so many colors to color this in a proper way. Therefore, always chromatic number is greater than or equal to clique number, which is greater than or equal to P. Okay. Now my contention is I wanted to prove the other way also. Okay, consider the modulo P class 0P, 2P, etc. K minus 1P. And this is an independent set because the difference of any two elements here is a multiple of P and the GCD with N will be P. Therefore, no pair is adjacent. Ultimately, it is an independent set. So independent set means this clique number is less than or equal to P. So ultimately, P, this is less than or equal to P. From these two statements, you get the clique number and the chromatic number of the unitary Kelly graph is P. And similarly, the complement, the clique in the original graph is an independent set in the complement. The independent set in the original graph is the clique in the complement. It is already independent set. Therefore, this is a clique. And of course, this contains N by P elements. The same argument. You will get that this for the complement, N by P is the clique number and the chromatic number. So in a sense, this unitary graph, unitary Kelly graph is always weakly perfect because the clique number and the chromatic number are one and the same. I will continue the other things day after tomorrow. Any specific questions, please? Anything need to be clarified at this point of time? Okay.
Sir, one request is,
Yeah, please.
could you please put some more light on a star graph and toroid graph? Maybe
I don't get.
I want
Please.
to know something more about the star graph.
Yes,
You said that they have to study.
I'll give the reference and wherein you will get all the things, because in the Beamer slide, I am not able to embed ST4 and how that is recursively being constructed. In fact, in my opinion, even the star graph, I can give number of open problems on this. Not only star graph, there are Kelly graphs on symmetric group Sn with respect to various generating sets. Of course, the problem is complicated, but it is a wide open domain. I will put the reference.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Anything else?
Doshi sir, can I continue?
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you, Professor Chelvam, for creating interest among the participants. It was a wonderful lecture on Kelly graphs. We definitely, my personal experience, I am not from graph theory. I am learning graph theory for the first time. So it really created interest. I like groups. So how groups are connected with graphs, I learned it from your lecture. And it is really interesting to learn Kelly graphs. You also thrown light on the circulant graphs, vertex transitive, unitary Kelly graphs, perfect graphs, etc. And we are really excited to listen your next lecture also. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Let us continue.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, fine.